Let's see. Describe 8 audit risk and explain the auditor's response to each risk in planning the audit of each company. ठीक है. Let's look at that 16 mark part first and then look at the other things. Biggest expectation in terms of marks here is the risk part. ठीक है. Now, this scenario relates to 5 requirements.
Sir, Lapis,
हाँ.
Lapis, Lapis, not peach.
Lapis, sorry, my mistake. Okay, Lapis Company. In line with ISA 220, Quality Management for an Audit of Financial Statements, describe the auditor's responsibilities in relation to supervising and reviewing the work performed during the external audit of Lapis. ये बाद में करते हैं because you don't need to refer to the scenario. Direct theory question है. Second part, describe 8 audit risk and explain the auditor's response to each risk in planning the audit of Lapis Company. Now, whenever a question is about risk, you should ask yourself one thing: what can go wrong? See, when you want to answer what can go wrong, it can be about an item in the financial statements कि यार financial statements में inventory का value should have been so and so, but there is what can go wrong is that the inventory can be misstated. That could be a problem. Or what can go wrong with respect to inventory? That material is dispatched from your warehouse, but it is still included in the closing inventory in your accounting software. तो dispatch होने के बाद भी it is still included in your accounting software. This is the risk. This is what can go wrong. And how exactly are you supposed to think now? Let's go line by line. It is 1st of July. You are an audit supervisor with Indigo and Co. and are planning the audit of your client Lapis Company for the year ended 30th September. Forecast profit before tax for the year is 68.9 and forecast revenue is 192.3. ठीक है. So PBT क्या है आपका? 68.9. ठीक है. And revenue 192.3. Now, why has this been given to you? Maybe there is a materiality calculation. Let's see, we don't know yet. Lapis Company manufactures televisions at 6 factories located across Europe and purchases most of its raw materials from overseas supplier. These raw materials are shipped directly to one of the company's factories and goods are usually in transit for up to 6 weeks. Lapis Company has responsibility for goods in transit from the point of dispatch by the supplier. The company's internal audit department undertakes control testing across all factories, visiting each site at least once every year. The audit manager has discussed with the finance director that the external audit may rely on the controls testing which is carried out by the internal audit department. The company sells televisions to wholesale customers and directly to individual members of the public via the company's website. A significant wholesale customer has recently informed Lapis. अब हम क्या कर रहे हैं ना, this is happening just like a reading, but we are not applying our minds कि यार what can go wrong. So don't read all paragraphs one after the other. After every paragraph that you read, ask yourself what can go wrong. कोई मतलब what can go wrong? It can go wrong in the financial statements. ठीक है. It can go wrong in terms of theft of material. It can go wrong in terms of company not achieving its objectives. Anything can go wrong. That we have to see. ठीक है. अब सबसे पहले फर्स्ट पैराग्राफ देखो. Company purchases its material directly from the overseas supplier. ठीक है. And goods are usually in transit for up to 6 weeks. What does that mean? Supplier ने भेज दिया, but with you it is still in transit right now. What does that mean? वो आप पहुंचा नहीं है. He has shipped it, but it has not reached you. For example, year end is 31st of December. He shipped it on 20th of December. It will take 6 weeks. Now, at the year end, what is the risk? The risk is that the inventory may not be accurate, right? अब there are different shipping terms. कभी कभी the shipping term is such that the supplier dispatches the material. There are two terms, shipping terms that are there. One is FOB, one is CIF. ये होता है फ्री ऑन बोर्ड और ये होता है कॉस्ट इंश्योरेंस फ्रेट. नाउ हैव यू हर्ड these terms before?
No, Sophie.
Okay. Now, FOB, cost insurance freight, these are standard shipping terms. Under FOB, seller's responsibility ends once the goods are loaded on the ship. ठीक है. So यहाँ पे FOB, seller's responsibility ends when goods are loaded on the ship. That means transfer of control happens when the goods are put on the ship. ठीक है. सो आई एम सेंडिंग गुड्स फ्रॉम दिल्ली टू हांगकांग. मैंने प्लेन में डाल दिया. माई रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी एंड ट्रांसफर ऑफ कंट्रोल टू करण हैज हैपेंड. ठीक है. सो इन दैट केस दैट कुड बी वन सिचुएशन कि यार, सो फॉर एग्जाम्पल, सत्यमेध onboards the or Satyamed loads the goods on flight to Hong Kong to be sent to Karan. ठीक है. The moment these are put on the flight, Satyamed's responsibility ends and transfer of control to Karan has happened. So even if goods have not reached Karan, they are his responsibility now. He should include these in his stock and record payable to सत्यमेव. ठीक है. ये हो गया आपका फ्री ऑन बोर्ड. दूसरा सिस्टम हो सकता है कॉस्ट इंश्योरेंस फ्रेट, CIF. अब CIF में क्या होता है? ठीक है. इन CIF, the seller is responsible for the cost insurance freight until the goods reach the buyer's designated port. ठीक है. Seller is responsible for goods, cost, insurance, and freight till the goods reach customer port. ठीक है. In this case, till the goods reach Hong Kong and are accepted by Karan, the responsibility lies with Satyamed. ठीक है. So even if they are not in his मतलब, even if they are not in Satyamed's warehouse, they are still his goods and should be included in Satyamed's stock till they reach Hong Kong and are accepted by Karan. अब ये मैंने आपको क्यों समझाया? देयर इज अ रीजन. नाउ गुड्स आर इन ट्रांजिट. ठीक है. सो इफ द ओवरसीज सप्लायर हैज शिप्ड द गुड्स टू यू, ठीक है, एंड ही हैज टेकन द FOB वाला शिपमेंट का टर्म, in that case, the moment the overseas supplier puts it on the ship, from that moment the goods become your property, which means the goods should be included in your closing stock. There is a possibility that you don't pay attention to that, and although those 100 units should be included in your closing stock, because they have not reached your warehouse, you don't include them. ये एक मिस्टेक हो सकता है. सेकंड मिस्टेक हो सकता है कि द गुड्स आर सपोज टू बी CIF. ठीक है. कॉस्ट इंश्योरेंस फ्रेट. इट इज द ओवरसीज सप्लायर्स रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी टिल दे रीच योर पोर्ट. टिल दे आर एक्सेप्टेड बाय यू, इट इज हिज रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी. बट आपने क्या कर दिया? आपने उसको अपने क्लोजिंग स्टॉक में इंक्लूड कर दिया. right? So both ways there is a problem. You might include when you are not supposed to include, or you will not include when you are supposed to include. दोनों तरफ से प्रॉब्लम हो सकता है. This is the problem with, you know, द ओवरसीज सप्लायर एंड 6 वीक्स का जो आपका गुड्स इन ट्रांजिट है वो. ठीक है. एट द ईयर एंड व्हाट इज द रिस्क इज दैट द क्लोजिंग इन्वेंट्री मे नॉट बी एक्यूरेट एंड देयरफॉर परचेस का जो, सी, हाउ डू यू रिकॉर्ड इन्वेंट्री? परचेस अकाउंट डेबिट टू सप्लायर. तो परचेस कॉस्ट इज नॉट रिकॉर्डेड, पेएबल इज नॉट रिकॉर्डेड इन योर बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट्स. ठीक है. ये गड़बड़ हो सकता है. नाउ व्हाट शुड बी द ऑडिटर्स रिस्पॉन्स? द ऑडिटर शुड अंडरटेक डिटेल्ड कट ऑफ टेस्टिंग ऑफ परचेसेस एंड रॉ मटेरियल्स. ही शुड चेक अ सैंपल ऑफ शिपिंग डॉक्यूमेंटेशन बिफोर एंड आफ्टर द ईयर एंड टू ensure कि when you are calculating the number of units in closing stock at the end of the year, the right quantity of goods is included. Right? If supplier has shipped the goods and he has taken the FOB wala shipping term, in that situation, even if the goods are in transit, they are your property, they should be included in your closing stock. If the supplier terms, see, you will look at the shipping documentation. If the supplier terms are something like CIF, that means the goods are not your property till they are delivered to your port and you accept the goods. So there is a possibility that you might end up including the goods in your closing stock when in fact it should not be included in your closing stock. So this is the type of audit risk that we are talking about. ठीक है. Audit risk is यहाँ पे what can go wrong, and we have discussed that because the goods are, you don't have to write CIF and FOB, ये सब आपको लिखना नहीं है. I spoke about it because I wanted you to understand how exactly does that particular part work. ठीक है. आपको लिखना नहीं है. आई एम रिपीटिंग. आई जस्ट इंक्लूडेड दैट बिकॉज आई वॉन्टेड यू टू नो कि हाउ डज द what is the impact of goods in transit on your closing stock. ठीक है. सो विद दैट इन माइंड, नाउ यू नो कि यार इफ ये पूरा जो प्रॉब्लम है वो कट ऑफ प्रोसीजर रिलेटेड प्रॉब्लम हो सकता है. सो देन व्हाट शुड यू डू? इन दैट केस यू शुड चेक द शिपिंग डॉक्यूमेंटेशन फ्रॉम टाइम टू टाइम. करेक्ट. एंड कौन सा शिपिंग डॉक्यूमेंटेशन में यू कैन हैव अ प्रॉब्लम? Mostly these are dispatches or items before the end of the year or after the end of the year. वहाँ वहीं पे गड़बड़ हो सकता है ना. ईयर एंड आइटम्स में गड़बड़ हो सकता है. यू विल रेयरली हैव प्रॉब्लम्स विद, से फॉर एग्जांपल योर ईयर एंड इज 31st of December. You will not have problems with dispatches made in August because by the end of the year most of them would be there है ना. Most of them would have reached your location. There is no other way or इट कैन वर्क. सो आपने कौन से इस पे ध्यान देना है? आपने ईयर एंड आइटम्स पे ध्यान देना है. इमीडिएटली बिफोर द एंड ऑफ द ईयर, इमीडिएटली आफ्टर द एंड ऑफ द ईयर, वो पीरियड में जो भी आइटम्स यू कैन सी, ऑल ऑफ दोज आर areas of concern for you. That is where the risk lies, and this is how you are, and this is the kind of response, this is how you should tackle the risk. Are you with me, all of you? Did you understand the FOB CIF part and why I explained it and why is it critical for your understanding? Let me repeat, you are not supposed to write it. ठीक है. अब एक बार देखो ये. Have a look at this part once.
सर मतलब हम लोग थोड़ा प्रूडेंस लेके चलते हैं ना, कि मतलब जब तक इन्वेंट्री आना जाए तब तक हम लोग उसे रिकॉर्ड नहीं करेंगे, चाहे हमने उसको ऑर्डर प्लेस कर दिया हो.
Correct. Prudence नहीं, these are just commercial terms.
और जैसे चाहे हमने पेमेंट भी कर दी हो, लेकिन पेमेंट हो जाती है, लेकिन इन्वेंट्री को हम लोग रिकॉर्ड नहीं मानते हैं.
हाँ, पेमेंट भी हो गया, सब हो गया. बट अगर वो CIF है, CIF मतलब दैट डज नॉट बिकम योर इन्वेंट्री टिल इट रीचेस यू. दैट इज हाउ द शिपिंग टर्म्स आर. कमर्शियल टर्म्स जो है आपके कॉन्ट्रैक्ट में, दिस दीज टर्म्स स्पेसिफिकली मेंशन कि यार ये आपका गुड्स तभी बनेगा, ये आपका प्रॉपर्टी तभी बनेगा जब ये आपको मिलेगा, व्हेन यू रिसीव इट एंड यू एक्सेप्ट द गुड्स. So in that case, even if you have paid and the other party has shipped the goods, they will not be included in your closing stock till you actually receive that particular item. ठीक है. सो ये शिपिंग टर्म्स है इसका, और मतलब there's no other reason for that. बट जैसे कॉन्ट्रैक्ट बिटवीन यू एंड द सप्लायर जो बना है उसमें अगर लिखा होगा तो आपको नेचुरली वही फॉलो करना पड़ेगा, राइट? अब और भी कई टाइप के शिपिंग टर्म्स होते हैं, इट्स जस्ट दैट आई वांटेड टू एक्सप्लेन, तो आई टुक द टू इजीएस्ट वंस। ठीक है। एनीथिंग एल्स? देख लो अच्छे से, हाँ, वी हैव टाइम। रीड इट, अंडरस्टैंड इट प्रॉपरली। पढ़ लिया आपने सबने?
सर जैसे एक मेरा था, बस एक मेरा सजेशन था, जैसे
हम्म।
रिस्पॉन्स वाले पार्ट में रॉ मटेरियल्स एट द ईयर एंड तक तो ठीक है, उसके बाद हम ये नहीं कह सकते द ऑडिटर शुड ऑल्सो चेक द फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स बिफोर एंड आफ्टर द ईयर एंड, तो टू कंसिडर जैसे मतलब जैसे जो इन्वेंट्री है वो सही है फिर गलत है, ज़्यादा नहीं हो जाएगी।
बट उससे क्या होगा? आप तो रिकॉर्ड्स चेक कर ही रहे हो ना। रिकॉर्ड्स में डेटा कहाँ से जाता है? रिकॉर्ड्स में डेटा आपके फिनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स का बेसिस ही तो आपके इन्वेंट्री रिकॉर्ड्स है ना।
ओके ओके।
ठीक है। देख लिया? ओके। चलो, लेट्स गो टू द फर्स्ट पैरा आफ्टर दैट। The company's internal audit department undertakes control testing across all factories, visiting each site at least once in a year. The audit manager has discussed with finance director that the external audit team may rely on the controls testing which is carried out by the internal audit department. Any risk that you see here?
Yes, sir, relying on the internal audit test.
Reliance on the work of the internal auditor. See, you can place reliance on the work of the internal auditor after doing some sample testing for the work that he has already done. Correct. So, Indigo and company can place reliance on the work done by the internal auditor, but for that, they themselves should be doing some sample testing or recalculations or reperformance of some of the procedures. So, for example, if Akshat has is the internal auditor and he is saying here all the tax calculations are correct and there are say 50,000 entries, I should take a sample of those and see whether those calculations are correct. If that turns out to be correct, then I can place reliance on the work done by Akshat, है ना? External audit team, what they should do is they should meet the internal audit staff, read their reports, review their files, re-perform certain procedures, recalculate certain findings. Only then you can place a reliance on the work of the internal auditor. ऐसे आते जाते, it's because ultimately na, if there is some challenge in the financial statements, if there is some mistake in the financial statements, and you are the external auditor and you say ki, and somebody catches you and you are held responsible for some misstatement, at that point you can't say ki अरे I relied on the work of the इंटरनल ऑडिटर, तो जो गलती है वो उसका गलती है, प्लीज होल्ड हिम अकाउंटेबल, इट्स नॉट माय रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी। एज एन एक्सटर्नल ऑडिटर यू कांट से दैट। एट द एंड ऑफ द डे पब्लिक अगर पीटेगी तो आपको पीटेगी। यू कैनॉट गेट ऑफ योर रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी बाय सेइंग दैट somebody else was responsible for this। अल्टीमेटली रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी आपका है, सो इट इज द एक्सटर्नल ऑडिटर हु विल हैव टू बी आंसरेबल टू पीपल, है ना? सो व्हाट इज द स्टेप दैट ही शुड अंडरटेक? ही शुड ऑलवेज चेक कि यार ये बंदे ने जो काम किया, if see, don't check everything, that won't be possible, but at least try to do a sample testing in his case, reperform some of the testing carried out by the internal auditor, है ना? To check whether what he has done, is it enough, is it adequate? What is the meaning of the word adequate? The meaning of the word adequate is कि यार does this has this person done enough work? अपने पास इनफ रिला डू वी हैव इनफ डेटा टू बेस आर कंक्लूजन्स ऑन, है ना? सो यू शुड not stop with your answer just by saying have a meeting with the internal auditor or understand how he is doing the control testing। आपको पूरा का पूरा control testing you should re-perform। ठीक है। now also understand that whenever You are describing a risk. Talk about, of course, talk about what can go wrong and क्या गलती हो सकता है वो भी explain करो, and then talk about what is it that you can do to as a response to that mistake. This is a responsive action that you are undertaking. ठीक है? देखो एक बार, reliance on internal audit team. If you have any doubts, ask me. Huh? I'm here for that only. पढ़ लिया?
Yes.
Okay, let's go back. The company, ये हो गया, company sells televisions to wholesale customers and directly to individual members of the public via the company website. A significant wholesale customer has recently informed Lapis that it is experiencing financial difficulties. Finance director indicated that an allowance for receivables is not required in the year-end financial statements. What is the problem here? What can go wrong? Think about it that way.
Sir, non-allow. Sir, they did not make the allowance for receivable, even though they know that the company they are selling to are not doing financially well.
Sure.
Sir, it's a contingent asset, we can say, I think.
Contingent asset. कंटिंजेंट असेट क्यों? मतलब वाई आर यू कॉलिंग इट कंटिंजेंट असेट? यहाँ पे कंटिंजेंट असेट का क्या लेना देना है?
ओ सॉरी सॉरी, आई
अलाउंस
मैं
के लिए दिया था।
दूसरा पॉइंट ले लिया था, सॉरी मैंने देखा है, सॉरी सॉरी।
सो व्हाट कैन गो रॉन्ग हियर आइडियली, बताइए।
सर अलाउंस फॉर रिसीवेबल कंसीडर करना चाहिए।
क्या करना चाहिए?
ये इसको कंसीडर सर इन्होंने नहीं किया ना, नॉट रिक्वायर्ड।
तो इन माय ओपिनियन, इज योर, कैन यू आंसर दिस क्वेश्चन बाय सेइंग दैट you were supposed to create an allowance for receivables which you have failed to do?
यस सर।
ठीक है, यू आर सपोज टू क्रिएट एन अलाउंस फॉर रिसीवेबल्स बट यू फेल टू डू दैट, है ना। दिस इज सिग्निफिकेंट होलसेल कस्टमर, मतलब द अमाउंट आउटस्टैंडिंग मस्ट बी अ बिगर अमाउंट, ही इज experiencing financial difficulties. Finance director believes that an allowance for receivables is required in the draft financial statements. Sorry, he believes that an allowance is not required in the draft financial statements. What is the risk? The risk is that trade receivables will be overvalued, है ना, and customer balance is not recoverable, and still you are showing it as recoverable. आपने कोई allowance for receivables create ही नहीं किया है. That means allowance for receivables is understated and the debtor balance is overstated. Correct? Now, this is the risk, that this allowance has not been created. What is the response to that risk?
So ask the management the reason behind why they have not provided for the allowance for receivable,
Hmm.
and check how much
Ask the
has been
credit
credited to.
controller.
Uh, I beg your pardon?
Ask the credit controller to
To do what?
tell about that.
Should we involve the credit controller in any way? जरूरत है, मतलब आई एम जस्ट आस्किंग, यू हैव टू
Yes, sir.
डिसाइड. अक्षत, व्हाट डू यू थिंक, कोई और पॉइंट है आपके पास?
सर आए मुझे जो पढ़ रहा था मुझे वाला पॉइंट समझ में भी नहीं आया था।
So first of all, you should review and test the controls surrounding the way in which how does the finance director identify कि a particular item is recoverable or not. What is his way of why how come he comes to this conclusion कि allowance create करने का जरूरत नहीं है. ठीक है, understand the controls in place. Then you must have communicated with the customer. ठीक है, रिव्यू कॉरस्पॉन्डेंस विद द कस्टमर एंड डिस्कस विद द फाइनेंस डायरेक्टर द रैशनल फॉर नॉट मेंटेनिंग एन अलाउंस फॉर रिसीवेबल्स डिस्पाइट द फाइनेंशियल डिफिकल्टीज experienced by the customer. So you have to have an interaction with the management, है ना. Discussion with the management will help you to identify. And you should check post year end receipts कि यार ये कस्टमर ने कुछ दिया, मतलब 20 lakhs was outstanding and maybe he paid 3 lakhs. That means it gives you an idea कि यार 17 lakhs का अलाउंस क्रिएट करना चाहिए, समथिंग लाइक दैट. सो दैट इज द additional information that you might that you will collect from this particular area, which might come in handy later. So what is the approach? The approach is कि यार सबसे पहले just test the controls and understand कि यार what was the reason that the finance director decided कि यार in spite of having this particular significant customer not being able to pay, ऐसा क्या रीजन है कि यार in spite of that he did not create a provision for receivables, because common sense dictates here you should create that provision, right? Your prudence principle dictates that a provision should be created. तो अगर क्रिएट नहीं हुआ है तो व्हाट इज द रीजन बिहाइंड दैट हैपनिंग, यू विल हैव टू चेक. उसके बाद क्या करना है, उसके बाद यू हैव टू चेक द कॉरस्पॉन्डेंस विद द कस्टमर. ओके, हाउ विल यू चेक? सो क्लाइंट को बोलो कि यार वॉट एवर आपका जो भी लेटरबाजी हुआ होगा विद दिस क्लाइंट, शो अस अ कॉपी ऑफ दैट. ठीक है, उससे आपको पता चलेगा कि हाउ सीरियस इज द कस्टमर एंड इन टर्म्स ऑफ पेमेंट, इज ही गोइंग टू पैसा डुबा के जाएगा कि विल ही पे द अमाउंट टू अस. यू विल गेट टू अंडरस्टैंड दैट. व्हाट एल्स विल यू डू हियर? यू विल ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड कि हाउ मच डू यू थिंक इज रिकवरेबल फ्रॉम द कस्टमर, एंड देन ऑफ कोर्स यू विल डू ईयर एंड कैलकुलेशन, है ना. ईयर एंड पोस्ट ईयर एंड रिसीट्स को आप टेस्ट करेंगे. यू विल चेक द पोस्ट ईयर एंड रिसीट्स टू अंडरस्टैंड कि you know was there a or is there a situation where he has paid after the end of the financial year, and you can then incorporate that number in your calculations. वो भी आप चेक कर सकते हो. that will help you get an idea कि actual provision आपका कितने amount का होना चाहिए. Correct. So the risk is no allowance for receivables. That is the risk we are facing. ठीक है, as in should be created but was not created. ठीक है, have a look.
Sir, in some may overstate or understate स्टेट बताना है ना, क्या चीज ओवर स्टेट होगी?
हाँ।
ठीक।
See, wherever you have questions in audit na, you should always try to explain what amount has been overstated and what amount has been understated. That improves the quality of your answer.
सर एक सवाल था, ये बिजनेस रिस्क नहीं हुआ सर? ये वाला पॉइंट मतलब थोड़ा सा।
नहीं, बट बिजनेस रिस्क लिखना है ऐसे किसने बोला? क्वेश्चन थोड़ी बोलता है बिजनेस
नहीं
रिस्क।
मतलब, लेकिन ये बात है ना, जो ऑडिटर्स तो लिखना हमको ऑडिट रिस्क की है। बट जैसे अगर ये बिजनेस रिस्क है तो हम उसको थोड़ी कर सकते हैं। मतलब देखा जाए तो कंपनी अगर देती है तो कंपनी पे ही मतलब दिक्कतें आएंगी, उनके रिसीवेबल्स ज़्यादा होंगे। मतलब ऑडिटर हमको क्या
Audit
फर्क
risk
पड़ेगा?
है मतलब allowance of for receivables should have been created, but it was not created. Our question is about audit risk and we should restrict ourselves to that. ठीक है। नेक्स्ट वाला देखिए। शर्मा जी ये पढ़िए तो लापिस से लेके यहाँ तक एक बार।
Lapis company offers customers a 3-year warranty on any new television purchased. The finance director has confirmed that the warranty provision for the year ended 30 September 20x5 will remain at a similar level to the prior year. In December 2004, Lapis company changed one of its television speaker suppliers to a cheaper alternative. This has resulted in an increase in warranty claims for television speaker deficiency.
ठीक है। Abhi, what is the situation? It offered customers a 3-year warranty on any new television purchased. The finance director has confirmed that the warranty provision for the year ended 30th September 2005 will remain at a similar level to the prior year. In December 2004, Lapis company changed one of its television suppliers to a cheaper alternative. This has resulted in an increase in warranty claims for television speaker deficiencies. What is a warranty claim? First of all, can you tell me what is a warranty?
Yes, sir. Claims made claims made by the customer. Uh, so warranties are given by the company to the purchaser of the product. Uh,
सर वारंटी सर, वी कैन से लाइक मतलब वारंटी दी जा मतलब हिंदी में बोल सकता हूँ सर, जस्ट फॉर एक्सप्लेनिंग पर्पसेस।
I would prefer कि I know you understand the concept, but examination में तो आपको इंग्लिश में बताना पड़ेगा. So please try to explain in English.
वारंटी इज लाइक अ वारंटी
बताइए क्या
is
होता
like a assurance given to the user of the product by the manufacturer or the seller, which guarantee which gives the guarantee, which gives the assurance that for a specific time of for a specific time of the period, the product which is used by the will not be damaged in any way, and if any damage also happens, the product will be replaced or it will be repaired at the cost of the company.
So, say for example, if I purchase a laptop and I purchase it for 50,000. And if the seller gives me a warranty, what that means is if he gives me a 1 year warranty, if anything happens to the laptop in the next 1 year, then he will come and he will repair slash replace the laptop free of cost. ठीक है, दैट इज व्हाट अ वारंटी मीन्स. यहाँ पे क्या किया है? What is the situation here? The situation here is that Lapis offers customers a 3 year warranty on any new television purchased. The director has confirmed that warranty provision for year ended 2005 should remain at the same level as in 2004. December 2004 May you have changed the supplier and that has resulted in an increase in warranty claims. So what is the risk here? The risk here is that even though the supplier has changed and more complaints are coming, that means you will have to do free repairs or free replacement, and that means there will be a higher outflow that might come in spite of that you have continued to record warranty claims at the old value. ये मिस्टेक होगा, है ना? दिस इज व्हाट कैन गो रॉन्ग कि मटेरियल खराब क्वालिटी का है. दैट मीन्स मोर एंड मोर कस्टमर्स आर कमिंग विद कंप्लेंट्स. That means more and more free repairs and free replacements have to be done. In spite of that, the company has kept the warranty provision at the same level as the last year. So warranty provision is understated and expenses are also understated. This is the risk. ठीक है. अब how do you rectify this? How do you tackle this? Tell me.
हाँ सर, प्लीज कैन यू री एक्सप्लेन द रिस्क, समझ नहीं पाया थोड़ा सा मतलब।
Okay. So, okay. यहाँ पे they have written it in the last paragraph. आप ग्रेजुएशन हो गया है आपका, अक्षत?
नो सर, फर्स्ट ईयर।
Okay, okay, okay. So they have written in the last line that there is an increase in the warranty claims for television speakers. If there is an increase in warranty claims because of speaker deficiencies, that means material का quality खराब है. More and more customers are coming to you with complaints. If more and more customers are coming to you with complaints, that means you will have to do more and more free repair and replacement. तो आपको the provision amount should be higher, but the provision amount what they have written is in the question key, the company has kept the provision for warranty at the same level as the last year. So my risk is that the provision amount is understated and my profit therefore is also overstated. ठीक है.
ओके ओके।
नाउ ये तो मैंने आपको रिस्क बता दिया. ठीक है. What else? Now, what are the steps that you can take? What is the auditor's response to that risk? Tell me.
He should increase the warranty provision.
He should do what?
Increase the amount of warranty provision.
So, first of all, you should discuss with the management what is there. One moment, guys. Okay. So, first of all, discuss with the management ki what is, how do you do the how do you calculate the provision? Show us the provision calculation. कैसे किया है आपने? And then review the level of claims received after the end of the year to see whether the provision is adequate or not. See, auditor's response cannot be कि यार provision increase करो. Auditor can comment on the adequacy of the provision. Auditor's job is not to tinker with the financial statements ना. वो financial statements में change करना उसका काम नहीं है. उसका काम है कि if there is a risk, if there is a risk of a material misstatement, then he should notify the client about it कि भाई ये mistake हो सकता है. And what should the auditor do? As a method of verification, ऑडिटर ने क्या करना चाहिए? ऑडिटर शुड चेक वेदर द लेवल ऑफ प्रोविजन इज एडिक्वेट और नॉट. व्हाट इज द रीजन? सबसे पहले मैनेजमेंट को पूछो कि यार तुमने कम प्रोविजन क्यों रिकॉर्ड किया. ठीक है. आइडेंटिफाई व्हाट इज देयर अप्रोच व्हेन इट कम्स टू द प्रोविजंस. ठीक है। हाउ डू दे कैलकुलेट, उनसे एक बार अंडरस्टैंड देयर मेथड ऑफ कैलकुलेशन. सो दैट इज द फर्स्ट स्टेप दैट यू विल परफॉर्म. सेकंड थिंग इज यू विल रिव्यू द लेवल ऑफ क्लेम्स रिसीव ड्यूरिंग द ईयर एंड आफ्टर द एंड ऑफ द ईयर. ईयर एंड के बाद जो भी क्लेम्स आए उससे क्या पता चलेगा कि ऑन एन एवरेज इफ देर आर कंप्लेंट्स विथ रिस्पेक्ट टू द क्वालिटी ऑफ द स्पीकर एंड ऑल ऑफ दैट, तो कंप्लेंट करना इज वन थिंग एंड एक्चुअली फाइलिंग अ वारंटी क्लेम इज अनदर थिंग. तो आपको चेक करना पड़ेगा कि कितने वारंटी क्लेम्स वर एक्चुअली फाइल्ड. दैट विल हेल्प यू टू अंडरस्टैंड कि यार द प्रोविजन अमाउंट विच यू हैव क्रिएटेड इज इट इनफ फॉर द सिचुएशन इन हैंड. ठीक है. मे बी यू कैन रेकमेंड द मैनेजमेंट टू इंक्रीज द अमाउंट ऑफ प्रोविजन. वो आप उनको बाद में रिकमेंडेशन दे सकते हो, बट दैट इज नॉट द ऑडिटर्स रिस्पॉन्स, दैट इज एन ऑडिटर रिकमेंडेशन टू द मैनेजमेंट. ठीक है. देयर इज अ डिफरेंस बिटवीन द टू. पढ़िए इसको.
सर रिस्पॉन्स मतलब वही प्रोसीजर जैसे ही है ना?
सिमिलर है, सिमिलर है. इट्स लाइक प्रोसीजर ओनली. बताइए. मतलब गो थ्रू इट एंड देन ऑफ कोर्स टेल मी इफ यू हैवंट अंडरस्टूड एनीथिंग. Risk, think about what can go wrong mostly in the financial statements. Is there a value which can be overstated? Is there a value which can be understated? Mostly your answer has to revolve around this aspect only. ठीक है.
सर ऐसे जो रिस्पॉन्स है इससे जो रिस्क है वो कम कैसे हुआ मतलब?
क्या रिस्क कम करना हमारा काम नहीं है ना? What is the auditor's job? The auditor's job is to understand what is the risk, and when he is commenting on the some item in the financial statements, it is now the auditor's job to ensure that when he is expressing an audit opinion, his audit opinion is not wrong. That is the job of the auditor ना. ऑडिटर का काम रिस्क कम करवाना नहीं है. एक सेकंड ना. चलो. Now, in May 2005, a payroll clerk was dismissed after it was discovered that he had carried out a number of fraudulent transactions. Controls have since been implemented. Have since been implemented मतलब after that particular fraud was discovered. ठीक है. After that particular fraud was discovered, post that you implemented certain controls to prevent it from reoccurring. But audit risk क्या हो सकता है यहाँ पे? Is there a possibility that there are fraudulent transactions which have not yet been identified?
Yes, sir.
है ना?
Uh,
Chunk of fraudulent transactions that have, maybe you identified 10, maybe he has done 20 frauds, you identified only 10, so they have not been identified. As a result, the company must have incurred a loss, but abhi tak you have not identified those, so the loss has also not been recorded in books of accounts. हो सकता है possible. ठीक है. Control risk is also increased because now you know कि यार जो अगर somebody did a fraud under these circumstances, that means a fraud must have happened. मतलब the controls were not working ना. अगर controls काम, if the controls were working, none of this would have taken place. The very fact that you mention that a fraud took place in spite of controls being in existence, that means your controls were not good enough. ठीक है, this is the risk. What is the risk? That certain fraudulent transactions have still not been identified, and if they have been discovered, if they have not been discovered, that means the impact on P&L is still not known to you. So profit is overstated right now. How will you, इसके इसके लिए क्या रेमेडी होगा? व्हाट शुड नॉट रेमेडी, रादर दैट्स द रॉन्ग वर्ड. व्हाट इज द ऑडिटर्स रिस्पॉन्स? ऑडिटर को देखो, ऑडिटर का काम, और what is the auditor trying to do? Auditor is basically trying to ensure कि यार whatever might be the circumstance, we should not land in a position कि यार tomorrow our audit opinion is incorrect. That is the fear that the auditor has in his mind ki we should not have a situation ki yaar we say that the financial statements do not contain any material misstatement, when in fact the financial statements do contain a material misstatement, and then we express an opinion and then our opinion does not remain reliable. ठीक है, उनको वो नहीं चाहिए. तो इफ दे वांट टू मेक श्योर दैट देयर ओपिनियन इज रिलायबल, तो वो अपने आप को सेफगार्ड करने के लिए क्या करेंगे? फॉर एग्जाम्पल इन दिस केस, what is the risk? The risk is that there are certain fraudulent transactions which have not been identified so far. ठीक है, ये आपका रिस्क है. How are you going to tackle the risk? What you should do is you should you can perform more in-depth procedures, है ना? You can perform certain additional procedures to ensure that there are no items which have not been identified so far. ठीक है, आपको ये इंश्योर करना पड़ेगा that there are, through more detailed testing, कि no transactions have been left out, है ना? Perform. And then one of the skills that the auditor always needs to possess is that of professional skepticism. And what exactly is professional skepticism? Professional skepticism means having a questioning mind. Check karo, see whether question the data points that have been given to you. Don't accept the data points and be alert. That is also, once you know कि यार 10 fraudulent transactions हुए हैं, then be a little more alert in your approach. ठीक है, डोंट एक्सेप्ट द एक्सप्लेनेशन एट फेस वैल्यू, ट्राई टू डिग इन डीपर. यही एक रिस्पॉन्स हो सकता है कि यार दे से ना क्या दूध का चला, वॉट एवर, समथिंग समथिंग दे से, आई एम नॉट एबल टू रिकलेक्ट दैट, बट या इन इंग्लिश वी से ना वंस बिट ट्वाइस शाय. सो इफ you have noticed that something is wrong once, then in the future you should be even more critical, even more careful, right? चलो, पढ़ो इसको अभी. आप पूरे तरीके से समझने का कोशिश करो कि वाई आर वी कॉलिंग इट अ रिस्क, व्हाट इज द अप्रोप्रिएट रिस्पॉन्स कमिंग इन फ्रॉम द ऑडिटर, है ना? वो समझना आपके लिए बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. अभी आई एम नॉट गोइंग टू टेस्ट यू ऑन सेक्शन ए. हाँ, मतलब सेक्शन ए पे मैं टेस्ट नहीं करूंगा. अभी द डेली होमवर्क, डू इट अंडर एग्जाम लाइक कंडीशंस। अगर 20 मार्क का क्वेश्चन होगा, ट्राई टू डू इट इन 35 मिनट्स। 30 मार्क का क्वेश्चन होगा, ट्राई टू डू इट इन 40 मिनट्स, 40 to 45 मिनट्स में कंप्लीट करो। सेंड इट टू मी फॉर रिव्यू। ठीक है।
Which question?
अभी जैसे परसों दिया था ना, अभी आज भी दूंगा।
Okay, sir.
आपने भेजा है ना शर्मा जी, जहां तक मुझे याद है, और आपको मैंने एक ही इसका फीडबैक दिया था, है ना?
Yes, sir.
हाँ। अब ये पैसिफिक और दूसरा वाला जो है उसका आपको आज भेज दूंगा मैं।
Okay, sir. और सर जैसे समझ नहीं आ रही, मतलब एमसीक्यूज एक बार सारे हो गए जैसे एक बार।
आज
और
फोन कर सकते हो आप?
हाँ जी सर।
करण और भेज यार। आप भी क्या, अभी भेज मुझे सबमिशन तेरा।
फिर कितने बजे करूँ सर?
8:30 बजे कर, तब तक मैं फ्री हो जाऊंगा।
ओके।
ठीक है।
यस सर।
अभी नेक्स्ट वाला रिस्क देखते हैं। The finance director has informed the audit manager that the intention is to disclose only the amount of remuneration payable to each director in the financial statements. Local legislation in the country in which Lapis company is based requires disclosure of the names of directors as well as the total amount of remuneration payable to each director. अब ये टेक्निकली ना डबल ए का पॉइंट नहीं है। This is not a point that is covered under AA because related party disclosures is not an accounting standard that is tested in FR, and detailed application of related parties is not in AA. But understand one thing, that if ever you have a related party transaction, ठीक है, यहाँ पे क्या है? Finance director has informed the audit manager that the intention is to disclose the only the amount payable to each director, requires disclosure of names of the directors also. Whenever there is a related party transaction, there is always a presumption कि यार, if it is a related party transaction, it must not have happened at fair value. ठीक है। So whenever the company enters into any transaction with a related party, they are supposed to make detailed disclosures, as per the accounting standard or as per the local legislation in that particular country. वो जो भी कंट्री में आप हो, उसके वॉट एवर लॉज आर देयर, द डिस्क्लोजर हैज टू बी डन अकॉर्डिंग टू दैट। द रिस्क इज दैट द अमाउंट्स दैट हैव बीन disclosed, they are only the amounts, names have not been mentioned. Whereas local legislation requires that the names of the directors should also be given, and local legislation always gets priority, right? The director's remuneration disclosure is not complete and accurate, and it will result in non-compliance. ठीक है। This is the risk. And what is the response? Discuss with the management, review the requirements of the local legislation to determine if the disclosure in the financial statements is included appropriately. ठीक है। If the disclosure is inadequate, then request management to amend the director's remuneration disclosures and review for compliance with local legislation. मतलब मैनेजमेंट को एक बार बोल दो कि यार, फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल यू अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट आर द स्पेसिफिक डिस्क्लोजर रिक्वायरमेंट्स, उनसे समझ लो। वंस यू हैव दोज इन प्लेस, यू कैन देन अप्लाई। ठीक है। एंड देन recommend द मैनेजमेंट कि यार, दिस इज नॉट इन लाइन एंड इट कुड लीड टू नॉन कंप्लायंस। ठीक है। आर यू विथ मी?
यस।
अब
यस
ये
सर।
बताइए, ये देखिए, वन ऑफ लैपिस कंपनी सप्लायर्स इज ऑफरिंग। यू टेक अ मोमेंट, आई विल बी बैक, देन वील कंटिन्यू। ये लैपिस सप्लायर्स और उसके बाद वाला पॉइंट दोनों एक बार देख लो। ये रिबेट वाला क्या सिचुएशन है?
हाँ जी सर। सर दैट वी विल रिसीव द रिबेट बट वी हैव सर it says that we will receive the rebate but समझ नहीं आया we will receive the minimum that is
समझ नहीं आया।
एक
ओ,
एक मिनट दोबारा से पढ़ के बताता हूँ आपको।
इतनी देर क्या कर रहा था फिर?
ये से पढ़ा था मैंने पर वो समझ नहीं आया था रिबेट वाला तो मैंने नीचे वाला तो मुझे पता है डेवलपिंग वाला तो रिसर्च एंड डेवलपमेंट से है, वो तो कर लिया था मैंने पर ये ऊपर वाला थोड़ा क्योंकि इसमें लिखा है कि एंटिसिपेट हम रिसीवल हमने एंटिसिपेट कर लिया पर हमें पक्का नहीं है कि मिलेगा मिलेगा तो इसीलिए थोड़ा इसमें
One of Lapis company's suppliers is offering the company an annual rebate on the condition that it purchases a minimum number of units by 30th September. The amount of rebate will be claimed in November. It is likely from orders placed to date and forecast that Lapis will exceed the minimum volume required to claim the rebate. Therefore, it is anticipated that the financial statements will include a receivable of zero point 0.8 million. So company is planning to include zero point 0.8 million का receivable on the assumption that it will be able to cross that number. ठीक है. The receivable should only be recognized if the company has purchased the required volume levels and the amount claimed is virtually certain to be received, right? You can recognize an asset only if it is virtually certain to be received. If the annual volume is overstated, then the rebate might not come your way. So you'll have to discuss with the management here what is your basis of the rebate calculation, how many firm orders do you anticipate, कितने confirmed orders है, right? And you should also check the supporting documentation. Management को पूछो how have you calculated this predicted number, है ना? Then you should also review post year end transactions and post year end correspondence, right? I think you must have noticed by now कि everywhere ये post year end transactions are quite important, right? Debtors, creditors, stock, rebate, हर जगह पे it is important. Why is post year end correspondence so important? See, when will you know that the quantity threshold has been crossed or not? You will come to know about it only after the end of the year. 31st of March is, if that is your year end, 31st of March को आपको पक्का पता होगा whether you have crossed that particular threshold or not. So in this case, what you should do is you should review post year end correspondence to see whether the supplier has accepted the rebate or not. Now, if you have crossed that particular quantity threshold, the supplier must have confirmed in a letter कि भाई listen, you were supposed to cross this particular threshold of 1,000 units, for example. You have crossed that threshold, which means you are eligible for the rebate. So that discussion must have happened with the supplier through one route or the other. So you will have to check the post year end correspondence, and after the year end is done you will also have to check the quantity and rebate. अगर मिला होगा तो it must have been written somewhere in the, that amount has to be included in the financial statements, correct? तो that additional verification also will have to be done by you, and ये post year end transaction verification would be quite an important one here, huh? Why? Because the number is confirmed only at the end of the year. So the best way for you to verify this is कि यार year end के बाद check करो. If 31st of March is your year end, then आपको 31st of March को under any circumstance आपको तो पता चल ही जाएगा ना कि कितना यूनिट्स आपने ऑर्डर किया है, राइट? You will know exactly how many units have been ordered. So at that point, that confirmation automatically will come to you. Plus, if you check the correspondence with the supplier, he, if say for example you are eligible for a prize, तो आप writing में लेंगे ना सामने वाले से कि यार please confirm that I have received the prize or not, so that I can include that in my books of accounts. So naturally that point will have to be included. So you should check the post year end correspondence also. ठीक है, वो कॉरेस्पॉन्डेंस से कंफर्म हो जाएगा वेदर ही इज गिविंग यू द रिसीट और नॉट. नाउ यहाँ पे लैपिस कंपनी इज डेवलपिंग अ न्यू स्मार्ट टीवी. All 1.6 million of cost incurred to date will be capitalized within intangibles by the year end. The model is still under development and it is not anticipated that it will be available for commercial production until 2006. What can go wrong here? Tell me.
So that research cost has not been included in the cost of development. First, we have to check this and development, and that the amount which we have capitalized meet all the development criteria or not. And I think yes, this sir.
So before capitalization, you need that. And so the risk is that an item which should have been expensed of research cost वो capitalize हो गया है, या something that should not have been capitalized has been capitalized, या फिर capitalize होना चाहिए था but expense off हो गया. All of these can be a problem. Fair enough. How, what should be your response as an auditor?
So discuss with the management how they have come up that this amount will be like research expenditure or this will be development expenditure, and check in the accounts that they have like been correctly did out.
For the amount expensed as research cost, uh, check the invoices and supporting documentation, and either it is included in profit or loss or not.
Very good. So supporting documentation, when you look at the invoice description, most important, you will understand what does each of these expenditure items stand for, है ना? ये individual expenditure items जब आप देखेंगे, when you read the invoice details, you will get to know कि what exactly is that particular expenditure about. That will help you to classify that properly into research versus development, correct? So, obtaining a list or obtaining a breakdown of the expenditure, that should be your first step, and then checking the supporting invoices. Correct. So, I think doing this should be more than enough for you, है ना? And that is pretty much the expectation. ठीक है. अब ये दोनों points I want you to read. I'll open the sheet. Just go through these ones. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Last two. In order to finance the development of the new smart TV model, Lapis secured a 2.5 interest-bearing bank loan in April 2005. This is repayable in arrears over 4 years in quarterly installments. इधर क्या मिस्टेक हो सकता है?
The that we have not included any interest payments for the like
ये बच्चों वाले मिस्टेक्स है, थोड़े बड़ों वाले मिस्टेक्स बताओ. इंटरेस्ट कैलकुलेशन नहीं किया.
इंटरेस्ट
Registered.
कैलकुलेशन इंटरेस्ट कैलकुलेशन को हमने डेवलपमेंट एक्सपेंडिचर में तो नहीं ऐड किया, ये हो सकता है ना.
No, not here. This is exclusively about the loan. यहाँ पे see they have said quarterly installments over 4 years, right? That means the split between current and non-current might not be done correctly. Current liability is the amount payable within next 12 months. Non-current is payable after 12 months. So there is a probability or there is a chance that the split between current and non-current has not happened properly. That is what you will be mentioning here. Okay. And what should be the auditor's response? He should check the loan agreement, reperform the calculations, and just check whether the split between current and non-current liability is done. Fair enough?
Yes, sir.
Any debt
Because I
covenant
thought
has
this is
been
what
breached.
Debt covenant also, okay, yeah, you can mention. But यहाँ पे मेन इशू प्रेजेंटेशन इशू है स्प्लिट बिटवीन करंट एंड नॉन करंट लाइबिलिटी. ठीक है.
Okay, sir.
लास्ट वाला बताओ. Directors of Lapis are intending to propose a final dividend once the financial statements are finalized. Final dividend, once the financial statements are finalized, adjusting event or non-adjusting event?
Non-adjusting event.
Non-adjusting event. What is the risk then?
So overstate overstatement of profit so that the dividend may be higher.
नहीं यार, नॉन एडजस्टिंग इवेंट है तो क्या होगा, उसका डिस्क्लोजर करना पड़ता है ना आपको।
तो हाँ सर, डिस्क्लोजर कराए कि नहीं है हो सकता है risk।
उसको रिकॉग्नाइज तो नहीं करती।
रिकॉग्नाइज तो डेफिनेटली, डिविडेंड वाला तो ऐसे भी कुछ रिकॉग्नाइज वगैरह नहीं करना है। द ओनली इशू इज दैट द फाइनेंस
डिस्क्लोजर।
डिस्क्लोजर रिलेटेड। ठीक है, बस फिर रिक्वायरमेंट्स ऑफ IAS 10 वर नॉट सेटिस्फाइड, दैट इज द प्रॉब्लम। ठीक है, ओके।
यस सर।
चलो, we are done with a thorough risk analysis of this situation. Your homework today is to repeat the risk analysis. I'm sending the sheet. ठीक है, मैं शीट तो भेज रहा हूँ। Go through the question, understand the way in which we have written the answer. If needed, learn करो, लर्न नहीं किया तो भी चलेगा, अंडरस्टैंडिंग इज मोर इम्पॉर्टेंट। एंड देन रीडू द क्वेश्चन, डू इट बाय योर सेल्फ विदाउट लुकिंग एट माई सोल्यूशन। ठीक है, विदाउट लुकिंग एट माई सोल्यूशन you should try to answer and then send it to me. If anyone wants to ask me anything, you can call me between 8:30 p.m. and 9 p.m. today. Whatever questions you have, I will answer those. Works?
श्योर। यस।
Chalo. Thank you. I'm
यस
sending the sheet right
यस
now.
सर।
Your homework today is to repeat the question. Wait, wait, wait. That's not all of the homework. There are still uh,
पीच।
नहीं नहीं नहीं, वो पीच मैं कराऊंगा आपको। और अपना डैन्यूब कंपनी भी होमवर्क में एक बार हमने किया है ना, डैन्यूब कंपनी क्लास में।
हाँ सर।
हाँ, तो अभी होमवर्क में प्रोसीजर्स में आई वांट यू टू टेक अप स्पिनच कंपनी। ठीक है, मैं ग्रुप पे लिख
सर
के
ये
दे।
भी हो गया।
स्पिनच हो गया है,
ये भी हुआ। यस सर, वो मतलब रिकॉर्डेड में।
रिकॉर्डेड में होगा। नहीं, बट माय पॉइंट इज कि आई वांट यू टू डू इट ऑन योर ओन, दैट इज द एक्सपेक्टेशन। ठीक है, तो मैं
यस सर।
पहले होमवर्क लिख के दे देता हूँ।
सर जो बस आपने करवाए वही कर लेना, प्रोसीजर वाले 10-12 क्वेश्चन।
हाँ हाँ, मैं अभी पूरा लिख के दे रहा हूँ ना आपको, आज का क्या क्या करना है। ठीक है, ये कौन सा था अपना, लापिस कंपनी। देन रीडू में स्पिनच कंपनी। एंड इंटेंजिबल असेट्स वाला पार्ट आपका हो गया है, राइट।
हाँ सर।
हाँ, सो स्टडी हब से टास्क 3 में आपको है।
इन्वेंट।
नहीं, आज रिसीवेबल्स करो, रिसीवेबल्स प्रोसीजर फ्रॉम स्टडी हब, लर्न दीज बाय हार्ट। ठीक है, चलो, थैंक यू, बाय।
थैंक यू
थैंक
सर।
यू सर। गुड नाइट।